story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
This is CoreTV News with Nifemi Oguntoye, and here are the stories making headline this hour. One of Nigeria's newest political parties, the Unity Party of Nigeria, is facing a crisis within 6 months of its registration. The turmoil in the party led to a rowdy session at its National Executive Committee meeting, presided over by National Chairman Frederick Fashion. Allegations and counter-allegations were bandied around as party members almost went physical with one another.
Arising from the purported and illegal NEC meeting. A motion to suspend the national chairman. 2, a motion to pass a vote of no confidence on the national chairman. 3, the declaration of an acting national chairman. 4, the declaration of the reported financier of the illegal NEC meeting, Prince Rotimi Kwasheda, as UPN governorship candidate for Ogun State. For the avoidance of doubt, as of today, UPN has no governorship candidate in Ogun State or in any other state for that matter. The emergence of anyone as our candidate will follow due process.
Therefore, in response to the directive of the NWC, which to state perceived constitutional breaches permitted by the national chairman. Number 1, violation of NEC directives on the appointment of caretaker committees for giving appointment letters for those who are not qualified as chairman caretaker, e.g. Ogun, Lagos, and Delta states. Number 2, unilaterally send or direct the Deputy National Secretary to send messages of postponement of the NWC NEC meeting of the 18th and 19th, which was fixed by the NEC through a motion moved and adopted by the members of NEC.
Former Vice President and presidential aspirant on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Atiku Abubakar, says he plans to encourage the private sector to create jobs through tax rebates. This is one of the key items of his draft policy agenda, which was released at a session with finance correspondents in Abuja. The policy touches key areas including employment generation and wealth creation, infrastructure and power, education and skill acquisition, security, citizenship and governance. Others are agriculture and food security and Niger Delta and Northeast.
The main thrust is the explicit bid to modify the way the machinery of federal government works by 1, providing the political will, vision, and capacity to lead this great nation with great population. Clarifying and streamlining MDA's remits and responsibilities, removing overlaps and operational redundancies. Systematically devolving and delegating operational responsibilities to states and local governments and private sector organizations, both commercial and charitable. Addressing habits and practices that currently compromise policy implementation. Enriching good governance is the hallmark of our administration, and eventually ensuring that solutions can be implemented, monitored, and evaluated.
Earlier in his address, the Director General of the Atiku campaign organization, Babalola Burishade, noted that the draft policy will be exhaustively reviewed by a panel comprising policy experts later in the month at the Obasanjo Presidential Library in Ota, Ogun State. Now, after a two-day trip to Abuja, Adamawa State Governor Bala Ngilare has now returned to Yola on the same flight with embattled Amadu Fintiri. The two were said to be at loggerheads after Fintiri was sacked by the order of the Federal High Court ruling they reinstated Ngilare. They exchanged pleasantries at the airport, signaling that the two politicians have settled their differences. After inspecting a guard of honor mounted at the government house, Ngilare later addressed party supporters at the government house after being welcomed by Adamawa PDP chairman Joel Madaki. He promised to run an open government that would deliver the dividends of democracy.
There is one thing I guarantee and assure all PDP members and all citizens of Adamawa. I will do justice to everybody. Justice through the vehicle of leading me as a political party. To ameliorate the difficulties that our people are suffering, our youth, our women will have to give them the price of pride that they deserve.
Or the appeal to the PDP members that have defected to all the political parties to return.
And use this opportunity to appeal to all PDP members who, for one reason or the other, have moved on temporarily to other parties to come back home. We want to guarantee them there will be justice, equity, and fairness in the government.
Kaduna State Governor Mukhtar Ramalan Yero has appealed to all politicians to work towards a violence-free election in 2015. He made the appeal while receiving members of the People's Democratic Party who were at the government house to urge him to contest the governorship election. According to him, politics is not about blackmailing or working on how to kill law-abiding citizens. He expressed a wish for a process that would be free, fair, and peaceful without any riots or killings. Earlier, the chairman of the team, who is also the Commissioner of Finance, Salaman Aliyu, hailed the governor for his effort in bringing what he described as lasting peace to the state. The delegation comprised commissioners, council chairmen, and other political leaders who have signed up to push for Governor Yero as PDP's sole candidate in 2015. Abuja indigents under the umbrella of the Original Inhabitants Development Association have accused supporters of FCT minister of playing politics with their socio-economic demands. The group also maintained that some of the projects, including Land Swipe and the Centenary project, touted as landmark achievements, were aimed at shortchanging Abuja natives. It added in a statement issued in Abuja that the people behind a recent rally urging the minister of the Federal Capital Territory not to leave to pursue his alleged governorship ambition in Bauchi State are sycophants. The umbrella body of Original Abuja Indigenes insists that the natives have not benefited much from the incumbent FCT minister in spite of his long tenure compared to others like Jeremiah Hosseini and Nasir El-Rufai. Meanwhile, the man who led the recent rally in support of the FCT minister, however, insists that he enjoyed the backing of 80% of Abuja indigenes. Danjuma Busa told CoreTV News that the group, which embarked on a recent citywide rally, is a coalition of smaller community-based associations of Abuja indigenes. He maintained that it was not a sponsored PR campaign and argued that the administration of the FCT minister, Bala Mohammed, is the best since the establishment of the Federal Capital Territory.
Is why I'm fully committed to encouraging this administration is because of the step he has taken. You know what I'm saying? So it's not because of anything. This man is doing it together with carrying us along. The past administration, you know what I'm saying, when they will start something, I don't know that it will fail. It has never worked. The issue of resettlement and compensation has never worked. If I do his tenure, You remember why we have the one Galiwi was all those when they wanted to relocate some of the communities. Did it work? No. When you go to those places, you even go and see the building, type of buildings. They will even say this is a quarry. They will be one small hut like this. Has done everything for us. But we have seen that whatever step that he's taking, he's getting us involved, he's carrying us along. Of course, even if he ends this tenure, that does not mean that he's going to solve all our problems, but you see, he's leaving a legacy that has never been left before.
When we return after this break, extradition process against ex-Mint boss adjourns. Join us again.
Der Torschütze zum zwischenzeitlichen 1:1. Semenike schickt Musa, da ist Ahmed Musa! Und da ist der Ausgleich!
It's a beautiful Saturday evening in the city of Lagos.
Off the turn, Phelps had it, but then that soon kept going.
Finals. 5 to shoot. Leonard does.
Sports is concerned, and of course, making a difference for all of us here, from all our production crew. Thanks for all your pleasure.
Welcome back. You're watching CoreTV News on the hour. You can also reach us on our social media platform. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. On Twitter, at CoreTV News NG. And as well as on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV with a space and news. The extradition process initiated by the federal government against the former managing director of Nigeria Security Minting and Printing Company, Heidiamel Okoyomo, could not go ahead as scheduled at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Okoyomo's extradition has been sought by the UK government over his alleged role in the bribery scandal involving central bank officials, the Nigeria Security Minting and Printing Company, and Security of Austria between 2006 and 2008. But when the case was called for mention, the defense counsel Alex Ezeyon told the court that he had filed a preliminary objection challenging the jurisdiction of the court to hear and decide the matter. Ezeyon argued that there is no extradition treaty between Nigeria and the United Kingdom to justify the Attorney General's move. Responding, the prosecuting counsel, Ms. Hassan, told the court that he had not been served with the application and urged the court to remand the accused in prison custody pending the hearing and determination of the application. After listening to the submission of both counsel, Justice Evo Chukwu ordered the defense to serve the prosecution with all necessary processes and remand the suspect in AFCC custody till October 16 for hearing. The police authorities have reconstituted the forced gender units to stem the tide of violence against women and girls in the country. To this end, Acting Inspector General of Police Sulaiman Abba has appointed Olabisi Kolawole, a Chief Superintendent of Police, as forced gender advisor to head the unit. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu said in a statement that the unit would, among others, implement a robust capacity building plan for officers on gender-related matters. It's also expected to pave way for gender desk officers in police formations across the country, as well as establish relationship on gender equality with a larger society. Meanwhile, the Bring Back Our Girls group has served notice of its intention to take its protest to the presidential villa on Tuesday in commemoration of the 6th month of the abduction of over 200 schoolgirls from Chibok camp in Borno State. The protest movement said in a statement issued by its spokesman Rotimi Olawale that a request has since been set for an appointment with President Goodluck Jonathan. The group explained that the objective of the march to the villa is to convey the urgency for the girls' rescue and to hear the accurate status of rescue efforts directly from Mr. President. He didn't say whether its request for an appointment with President Jonathan had been approved, but made it clear that its members have been mobilized for the protest march. The World Health Organization has certified 3 local drugs manufacturers to produce globally accepted medicines for malaria and HIV/AIDS. Health Minister Onyebuchi discussed this at a news conference in Abuja. He added that this now brings to 4 the number of Nigerian companies that have now met WHO standard in drug production.
Nigeria now has 4 pharmaceutical companies that have gained the World Health Organization Good Manufacturing Practice Certification, the GMP. And I understand they are also the only 4 pharmaceutical companies in the whole of West Africa that have done so. Therefore, Nigeria has now joined the rest of the global community in this regard. The world awaits that products such as Artemether lumefantrine combination tablets for malaria, for instance, lamivudine tablets for HIV/AIDS, levofloxacin tablets that are used for infections including tuberculosis, zinc sulfate tablets for the treatment of diarrhea, fluconazole injections, as well as ciprofloxacin tablets, just to cite some examples. All these being manufactured here in Nigeria.
The United Nations says there are 1 billion people living in slums across the world. A World Bank study shows that Lagos State alone had 42 slum communities in the year 2000. This was the submission of UN officials at the 2014 World Habitat Day celebration in Abuja. As part of the Millennium Development Goals, the United Nations has pledged to improve the lives of 100 million slum dwellers by the year 2020. Paul Sama reports that the theme of this year's observance is Voices from the Slums.
The World Habitat Day was first celebrated in 1986 after the UN passed a resolution on issues of shelter and human habitat. Now, the Nigerian government say it is committed to improving the living conditions of people living in the slums. But it is also worried that slums coexist with well-planned areas within the cities.
There is no better way to fully establish the living conditions in the slums than to hear from the slum residents themselves. It is our hope that collectively we will establish a vibrant platform to give a voice to this growing segment of our communities. It is through such conversations that decision makers would be better able to come up with policy interventions to mitigate the adverse effects of the slum challenge. The task of managing human settlements is no doubt huge.
The UN has its own concerns too on the neglect of slums in Africa. It wants governments on the continent to provide adequate and affordable housing for the citizenry.
The goal is to raise awareness of life conditions in some areas of the planet, which are crowded with inadequate housing, poor or no water and sanitation facilities, and no security of tenure. There is rarely any public space in these areas and no allocation for streets, meaning no public transport and no access for emergency services. Great efforts are being made to improve many slums around the world and better the lives of those that live there.
There are also others who want an improvement in the living condition of slum dwellers in order to stem the tide of global warming.
This year's World Habitat Day theme, therefore, is a clear-on call for government to find other ways of dealing with slums. Apart from raising awareness of the living conditions in slums, it is also challenging government to provide a mechanism for engaging with slum dwellers, with people who live in slums, to work together to gradually improve on their condition.
I would like to urge this gathering of stakeholders to consider the implementation of the identified recommendations and also identify various new challenges in our cities and propose ways to resolve such challenges of unprecedented urbanization in our great nation.
As Nigeria joins the rest of the global community to celebrate the World Habitat Day, slum dwellers in large urban settlements can only wish for a better living condition and are not necessarily burdened by the threat posed by environment to global warming. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Old Boys Association of Government College Ibadan has vowed to reclaim the lost glory of the school. The association, which stated this against the background of the dwindling fortune in the nation's education sector, seeks private and public partnership to arrest the situation. Oluwaseyi Adegoke was at the media chart put together by the association ahead of the 85th anniversary of the institution. Her report is presented from our studios.
The Government College Ibadan was founded in 1929 and has produced eminent Nigerians in various fields. According to the Old Boys Association of the school, up till the 1970s, the students had the sort of education that equipped them to face the challenges of life. However, reverse is the case now as the school faces serious challenges including decaying infrastructure and academic decadence. The national president of the Old Boys Association of the school, Biodun Jolaosho, says the association is ready to partner with the state government to restore the lost glory of the school.
The Old Boys of Government College, Ibadan, are probably more passionate about their school than any other because of their pedigree. And I can tell you confidently that in the last 10 years, we have invested more than 150 million in the school in form of restoration. We appreciate the challenges facing our state government in Oyo State in terms of heavy demands on its meager resources. That is why the Old Boys are saying that the state alone cannot run or fund education. The Old Boys of Government College are ready to partner with government of the state in a public-private partnership arrangement.
Jolaosho says it is only a reorientation that can change the drop in standards of education.
We can only change things around if we have a new orientation. At the national level, you see, we're talking of Oyo State. It's not only Oyo State. Oyo State is even doing well. In spite of the 24th position, you go to some states, you'll be surprised what you have. You'll be surprised. Yeah, so this is education. I mean, some of us who have schooled abroad, here and abroad, I mean, you weep for Nigeria. So I think we need a new orientation to solving the problem.
As the school marks its 85th anniversary, the Old Boys Association says restoring the lost glory of their alma mater is the main priority.
Nigeria now, as many as 180,000 people have fled fighting between Iraqi forces and Islamic State militants in and around the city of Hit in western Anbar province, according to the UN. The civilians, many of whom were already displaced, have headed east towards the war-torn city of Ramadi. The UN says the refugees are in need of food, blankets and medical supplies. ISIS militants captured Hit earlier this month, in an advance across Anbar that has alarmed Iraqi leaders. Analysts say seizing Anbar would enable ISIS militants to establish a supply line to launch possible attacks on the Iraqi capital, Baghdad. The US-led coalition that is battling the militants has carried out airstrikes on the area around Hit. However, Iraqi security officials said on Monday that ISIS militants had overrun a military base the Iraqi army had abandoned west of the city. And that wraps up this hour on CoreTV News. Join us again at 11 o'clock for more updates. Stick around.